Ahoy, mateys, and welcome back to Robots vs. Vampires. I'm Adrian Smith, and I'm so glad you've decided to join us for another voyage into the uncharted territories of sci-fi and fantasy.
I'm Julia Jones, and I'm ready to set sail on today's adventure.
We're diving deep into the Vampire's Voyage, a story that promises to be a real treasure trove of the unexpected. And if you're enjoying these daily dives into the fantastical, be sure to hit that rate button and follow the show for more. Now you've given me this story about Captain Elias Blackheart, a vampire pirate. I'm not sure I've ever encountered that particular combination before.
Right, it's not your typical swashbuckling tale. It's like the author took two classic genres and threw them into a blender.
But it works, doesn't it? There's this instant intrigue, this curiosity about how these two worlds collide.
Definitely, and what really caught my eye was this curse that's plaguing our captain. He's actually craving sunlight.
A vampire who wants to soak up some rays. Now that's a twist I wasn't expecting. What do you think the author is trying to do here? Subvert our expectations of what a vampire is.
I think so. It adds a whole new layer to the classic vampire archetype, right? He's not just a mindless monster driven by bloodlust. There's this internal conflict, this longing for something he can't have.
It almost makes you sympathize with him.
Yeah. He's trapped between his monstrous nature and this yearning for something more, something human. That internal struggle is really what drives the story.
So we've got this vampire who's more than just a blood-sucking fiend. He's got depth, desires, maybe even a glimmer of humanity. But he's stuck on a ship at sea. Is that setting significant?
Definitely. It's not just a random backdrop. The vastness of the ocean, the unpredictable storms, the constant sense of being adrift.
It all becomes a metaphor for Elias's inner turmoil.
Exactly. It's like his internal struggle is mirrored in the external environment of the rating, right?
Very clever. But let's talk about his crew. I can't imagine they're too thrilled to have a vampire as their captain.
You're right. The story really emphasizes their fear. They're constantly on edge around him, always watching their backs.
Which just adds to Elias's isolation, doesn't it?
It does. He's surrounded by people, but utterly alone because of what he is. It really adds this layer of tragedy to his character.
He's not just a monster. He's a monster who craves connection, but is denied it. But he's not just sailing around moping, is he? There's got to be more to this voyage.
Oh, there definitely is. He's on a quest, a desperate search for the legendary waters of life.
Waters of life? What are those? Some kind of magical elixir?
Exactly. They're rumored to have the power to break curses, to heal any ailment. It's a myth, a legend passed down through generations of sailors.
So it's a long shot, but it's the only shot Elias has. Classic quest narrative. He's risking everything on a myth, a whisper of hope. But do the waters of life even exist? Or is the author setting him up for disappointment?
Well, they do find the waters of life, but it's not a simple happily ever after scenario. The story really emphasizes the pain Elias endures when he tries to use them. It's described as excruciating, like liquid fire coursing through his veins, burning away his undead flesh.
Wow. So this isn't just a magical dip in a fountain. This is a trial by fire. He's really paying a price for this potential cure. But does it work? Does he actually get a taste of that sunlight he craves so desperately?
He does. After the pain subsides, he describes feeling warmth for the first time in who knows how long. It's a brief, beautiful moment where he experiences what he's been missing.
But of course there's a catch, right?
There's always a catch, isn't there? Just as he starts to believe that maybe, just maybe, he has a chance at a normal life, a group of vampire hunters appears.
Oh no, talk about bad timing. Here he is, finally experiencing a taste of humanity, and then bam, he's confronted by people who want to destroy him. So how does our newly humanized, or at least partially humanized, vampire react? Does he plead for mercy? Does he try to reason with them?
Not quite. Instead of running or begging, he fights back. And here's where things get really interesting. The story describes him feeling a strange sense of joy in the battle. It's like the waters of life didn't just give him a taste of humanity. They unleashed a surge of power, a primal urge to fight.
Hold on. So is this newfound strength a good thing? Or is he simply replacing one form of monstrousness with another? He's gone from a creature driven by bloodlust to a creature driven by what? A thirst for violence.
That's the question the story wants you to grapple with. Is he truly any different from the monster he was before? It's a morally gray area that really makes you think about what it means to be human.
Ahoy there, mateys, and welcome back to Robots vs. Vampires. We're still charting the course of the Vampire's Voyage, and let me tell you, This story's got more twists and turns than a Kraken's tentacles.
It really does. Last time we left Captain Elias Blackheart grappling with his monstrous nature, a fleeting taste of humanity, and that cryptic message from the vampire hunter.
Oh yeah, that message. It's been bugging me. The light you crave burns brighter than you think.
Yeah.
What do you think it means?
Well, it's definitely about more than just sunlight. It's got to be symbolic, right?
Symbolic of what, though?
Well, if we think about light as a symbol, it could represent a lot of things, couldn't it? Hope, redemption, maybe even the very essence of humanity that Elias is so desperately seeking.
You're saying it's not just about a physical cure, but something
Yeah.
deeper, something within Elias himself.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that potential for good that might still exist within him, even after being twisted by the curse. Like the hunter sees a spark in Elias, a possibility for change that maybe Elias doesn't even see himself.
Huh. But can a monster really change? Can someone like Elias, who has committed terrible acts, ever find redemption?
It's a question that goes beyond the story, doesn't it? It makes you think about the nature of good and evil and whether people can truly change who they are at their core.
And this story doesn't give you an easy answer. Elias is such a complex character. He's capable of great violence, but he also yearns for something better. It's up to you, the reader, to decide if he deserves a second chance.
And I think that's what makes this story so powerful. It doesn't offer a simple solution or a clear moral judgment. It leaves you grappling with these questions long after you've finished reading.
Speaking of grappling with questions, let's talk about that ending. The story leaves Elias adrift at sea, still cursed, still struggling with his identity. Where do we go from here? Is there any hope for him at all?
I love that the story doesn't tie everything up neatly. It leaves so much open to interpretation. Maybe Elias does find a way to embrace that light within him to forge a new path, or maybe he succumbs to the darkness and becomes the monster everyone expects him to be.
It's like the author's inviting us to continue the story in our own minds. We're left wondering, what choices will Elias make? Can he escape his past and create a new future for himself?
And that's the beauty of a good story, isn't it? It sparks our imaginations, it challenges our assumptions, and it stays with us long after we've turned that last page.
Now, this is Robots vs. Vampires, and I have to ask, where do the robots fit into all of this? It seems like a strange choice to analyze a story that doesn't explicitly feature robots.
But that absence is significant, isn't it? Think about what robots often represent in stories: logic, order, a clear sense of right and wrong. By removing that element, the author is forcing us to confront the messier aspects of human nature.
No easy technological fix for Elias's problems. No robot to swoop in and tell him what's right or wrong.
Precisely. It's like the absence of robots creates a space for us to explore these complex moral questions without the crutch of clear-cut solutions. What if there are no easy answers? What if redemption isn't about external transformations, but about the choices we make when faced with our own darkness?
That's a pretty powerful thought. So in a way, the vampire's voyage is even more relevant in our technologically advanced world. It reminds us that no matter how much technology progresses, we'll always be wrestling with these fundamental questions about who we are and what it means to be human.
And that brings us to another interesting point, the ambiguity of the ending. We're left wondering, what becomes of Elias? Does he find a way to embrace the light? Or does he succumb to the darkness?
And I think that uncertainty is intentional. It makes you think, what would you do in Elias's situation?
Yeah.
It's an invitation to the listener to continue the story in their own mind.
Exactly, and that's what we love about these kinds of stories. They spark our imaginations, and they leave us with questions that linger long after the story is over.
Ahoy there, fellow adventurers, and welcome back to Robots vs. Vampires. We're in the final stretch of our voyage through the Vampire's Voyage, and let me tell you, the waters are getting choppy.
We've explored the depths of this cursed vampire pirate's yearning for redemption and that cryptic message from the hunter that left us all pondering.
But now it's time to face the real storm, the questions that have been brewing in the minds of our listeners.
And believe me, those questions have been pouring in faster than a monsoon.
So, are you ready to batten down the hatches and weather this storm of listener insights?
Aye, Captain. Let's set sail and see what treasures we can uncover.
All right, the first message in a bottle comes from @SeafarerSam, who asks, if the waters of life didn't permanently break Elias's curse, does that mean true redemption is beyond his reach? What do you think? Is Elias doomed to be a monster forever?
That's a tough one. But I wouldn't say impossible. Remember, the story emphasizes that even monstrous beings can change, and those fleeting moments of humanity that Elias experiences suggest that there's still a spark of good within him.
So maybe the waters of life were a temporary fix, but they served as a wake-up call, a glimpse into what he could be.
Exactly. The real transformation has to come from within. It's about choosing to nurture that flicker of light, to resist the pull of darkness, even when it feels overwhelming.
Now here's another message in a bottle bobbing along this one, from @LiterarySiren, who asks, what did the hunter leader see in Elias that compelled him to offer a truce? Was it pity or something more profound?
I don't think it was simply pity. Remember that intense look the hunter gave Elias, the way the story describes a strange understanding in his eyes? It's like he recognized a kindred spirit, someone battling similar demons, someone who understands the struggle to choose between light and darkness.
So even a seasoned vampire hunter, someone dedicated to destroying these creatures, can see a glimmer of hope in one of them.
I think so. It suggests that even our enemies can surprise us with their capacity for empathy, and maybe that line between human and monster isn't always as clear-cut as we think.
It definitely blurs those lines. And that brings us to the question that's been swirling in everyone's mind since the story ended. What happens to Elias next? Does he embrace that inner light, or is he doomed to succumb to the darkness?
The author cleverly leaves us with an open ending. It's like he's handing us the compass and the map and inviting us to chart our own course for Elias's future.
A choose-your-own-adventure for the mind. Do we imagine Elias finding redemption, or do we see him spiraling further into the abyss?
And that's the beauty of a story that resonates so deeply. It sparks our imaginations and keeps those mental gears turning long after the last page is read.
So, dear listeners, what do you envision for Captain Elias Blackheart? What choices will he make? What fate awaits him on the vast, uncharted waters of his soul?
Share your thoughts, your hopes, your fears for Elias with us on social media. Let's keep this conversation going, exploring the possibilities that lie hidden beneath the surface of this captivating tale.
And that brings our deep dive into The Vampire's Voyage to a close. We hope this episode has left you with more questions than answers and sparked your imagination to explore the uncharted territories of your own mind.
Remember, even in the darkest depths, there's always the potential for light. And sometimes the most monstrous creatures are the ones who yearn for it the most.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. Don't forget to rate, follow, and share Robots vs. Vampires for more epic tales where sci-fi and fantasy collide. Until next time, keep those imaginations firing.